Welcome to Hard Hat Answers, quick, no-nonsense advice from the job site to the boardroom. Hosted by Scott Jennings, professional engineer, owner of SJ Construction Consulting, author of the Build America Guides, and host of the Build America podcast. Let's get started. What should I do first when setting up my company?
The first question you need to ask is, all right, I'm going to go out and start my own business. This is great. I know how to do this craft. I can do it. The first thing you have to ask yourself is, right now I'm working for a company that pays my employer, pays the company I work for, they pay him $100,000 for the installation of X. You need to be able to tell yourself, are there other people out there that are willing to pay me X to do the work? It all sounds good, I'm going to start my own business, but once you leave the comfort, the cocoon, if you will, of the business you're currently working for, and you're out there on the street, you need to find someone who's now going to pay you $100,000 or whatever the amount is to do the actual work. That's the first thing, is make sure you have customers. So once you realize, like when I started my business, we were working for a large developer on a neighbor island here, a neighbor island to Honolulu and Oahu. And I just went out to him and I said, hey, if I start my own company, can I bid some of these jobs? And those were roadway jobs, pipe jobs, mass grading jobs, where they were of significant size because that's what I was used to. So they started at $500,000, went up to $2, $3, $4 million. So I already had a potential customer, a potential client in my crosshairs to go talk to and get some work. That would be the first thing, is make sure you can find someone who will actually pay you to do the work. Then, to get back to really your question, Suzanne, how do I set up a business? Go find a logo, go find a name, but you've got to register your business. It's got to be an LLC or an LLP, an S corporation, C corporation. You've got to find the actual structure of your business. That's going to come from a lawyer. And then you're going to have to get a contractor's license in probably all 50 states. You're going to have a license to practice construction, if you will. You're going to need a license to do that. You're probably, in order to get a license, you're going to have to get a CPA. That's a certified public accountant. That person goes in and, certifies that you have so many dollars in the bank. A lot of states will require you to have $25,000 in the bank. So a certified public accountant comes in and says, okay, well, I looked through, say Scott's going to start a business. Found this guy, Scott. He wants to start a business called Scott Construction. He stood it up name-wise, LLC-wise. A CPA comes in and says, okay, I have looked through his financial records. He's at, Bank of City X, got $25,000 of cash in there. And then a CPA will write a series of financial statements for the contractor's licensing entity. And then that entity will say, okay, a CPA, independent accountant, has stated that Scott of Scott Construction has, $25,000 in the bank, and we, the contractor's licensing entity, says, all right, this is enough for us to allow this person to start a construction company and go work out in the field of construction. There's several other things, but as far as starting out a business, go get a lawyer to set it up, and go get a CPA to make sure your financials are in order, and get a contractor's license. And if you got clients, heads up, you're in business.
You just watched Hard Hat Answers, your fix for quick, no-nonsense tips from the job site to the boardroom. For more insights, head to sjcivil.com, grab the Build America Guides, and catch the Build America podcast for more power moves.